does adult case people in the state of Michigan versus Dallas Midlaw?
We're ready. Our ground deputy chief in their opinion with it on behalf of
Thank you. Date time set for continuation of preliminary examination. Are you ready to proceed? All right, let me call your first witness. Are you ready? All right, very good.
People call Deputy Alex Phillips to the stand.
Please come forward. Main Court.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I know that we had kind of started, but I feel like there was only a handful of questions, and I'm basically just going to start from the top.
That's
okay. Because I couldn't tell you where I'm at.
Okay.
Sir, how are you currently employed? And what is your responsibility with the Washington County Sheriff's Office? And where are you assigned to locally? Were you working in that capacity back on April the 15th of this year, 2025? Directing your attention to around in the morning hours on that date, had you received any sort of dispatch regarding a potential stolen vehicle? Okay, can you tell the court about the nature of that dispatch?
We dispatched to the hotel located at 1275 South Huron Street. The report of a stolen vehicle. Deputy Beauvais and I made contact with the owner who advised her ready for his phone was stolen sometime throughout the night.
Okay, and that hotel, you call it the Grand?
I believe it was the Marriott.
Okay. Based on this information that you received from the person who owned this vehicle and reported it stolen, what did you do next?
We attempted to clean up an NCLC was stolen. Deputy Beauvais was getting updates on the vehicle location from the one past the board application and all that.
Okay. And at some point, did you and Deputy Beauvais travel someplace in Ypsilanti Township to attempt to locate this stolen vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, where did you go?
Vehicle showing in the area, Brook Creek Court, Brook Lane, and the rest of the
Okay, this is an area that you're familiar with? And you proceeded to this area of Brook Creek Court in the western neighborhood. Okay. What, if anything, did you observe when you arrived in the
We entered into the cul-de-sac east side of the road. When we entered in from the west side of the road, we observed a radio board floor facing on the north side of the road, facing westbound. We went up to the plate. I was in the passenger seat. Deputy Beauvais was driving. We then drove closer to the vehicle to confirm that was the stolen vehicle. Upon getting closer, we observed that the vehicle was occupied. At this point, we believed it was a stolen and was paying right in that area, so we initiated our overhead lights to initiate a felony stop.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just going to back you up a little bit. So you are the passenger in your vehicle.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't believe I asked you this. Are you and Deputy Beauvais in a marked or unmarked vehicle? Okay. This is a Ford Explorer?
Yes.
So you are, I guess, face to face with this suspected stolen vehicle. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, so you're looking at the front of that Explorer, hence you can't see the license plate.
Yes.
That's fair. I will rephrase that. And you proceed in the area as you're attempting to verify the plate. You observe that the vehicle is occupied. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. How many people were in the vehicle?
Initially, we can see the driver and the passenger. Further, turning all overhead lights and exiting the vehicle. Two passengers exiting the vehicle.
Okay. So as you're approaching, you can observe at least two people, the driver and the passenger in the vehicle. Okay. Presumably, Deputy Beauvais is driving the marked police vehicle that you were in. Is that correct? Okay. So that vehicle is stopped. You activate your overhead vehicle approximately 20 to 30 feet away from the suspected stolen vehicle. What do you do next?
Now notice what's happening. The deputies aren't going in for a casual chat. This is a modified felony stop, which means weapons drawn, verbal commands, and heightened caution. Why? Because in police training, a stolen vehicle stop is one of the most unpredictable. Drivers have been known to both fight or worse.
Essentially a modified felony stop. I unholstered my service weapon and pointed it at the vehicle and then gave the commands, which at this point the two female passengers in the vehicle. So I started giving commands to basically.
Okay. And let me just back up a little bit. When you took the initial report for the stolen Ford Explorer, was there a color given to this vehicle?
Right.
Okay. And the vehicle that you observed was consistent with that color? Was it also consistent with the approximate year the vehicle was well? Okay. What year was the vehicle that was recently stolen? Did that refresh your recollection? That's fine. You have your report with you. If you could just not read directly from it, refresh your memory and then let me know it's refresh. Thank you. And what year is the vehicle? Okay. So you have your weapon drawn, you're giving verbal command occupants of that vehicle as are you physically now walking towards that vehicle?
At this point, I am walking towards an out.
Okay. The Ford Explorer, the suspected stolen Ford Explorer, is it parked on the side of the road?
It is.
Okay. And you said it's on the north side of the road?
Yes.
Okay. So as you exit your vehicle is the patrol vehicle that you and Deputy Devere occupying stop. Are you up against the curb? Or are you more in the middle of the road?
We're more in the middle of the roadway.
Okay. So when you exit from the passenger side of the vehicle, is the Ford Explorer that you're interested in to your right or to your left?
No.
To your left. Okay. So is it fair to say that you kind of then have to walk in front of your patrol vehicle to walk in the direction of the stolen Ford Explorer, suspected stolen? Yeah. Okay. And is that what you were doing as you're giving commands beyond the vehicle? Okay. Could you see at this time who the driver of that vehicle was? Not at that exact. Okay. At some point, are you able to determine visually who the driver of that vehicle is? Okay. How far away were you from that vehicle when you were able to sufficiently see in the vehicle to make that identification? Okay. So having the distance that you previously were. Okay. Is the driver of that vehicle in the clothing here today? Can you identify an article of clothing that they're wearing? Orange what? Thank you. Your Honor, may the record reflect an in-court identification of the defendant?
Without objection, record shall so reflect.
Are you giving verbal commands to the driver of the vehicle to do anything at this point? What are you saying? Did the driver or the defendant appear to follow those commands? As you are making these verbal commands, is partner deputy also saying things to the vehicle? If you recall. Okay, fair. You're making these commands, is your weapon still drawn? How close are you able to get to the vehicle?
Maybe 20 or so feet.
You said you had, in order to determine the identification, you were about 10 to 15 feet away. Okay.
But I didn't, when I'm still giving commands, I hadn't identified them.
Okay, all right. Sorry, and that's my fault. When you're 10 to 15 feet away and you can see the driver of the vehicle, are you still giving verbal commands at that point? Yes. Okay. What happens next?
At first I noticed
There it is. The flicker of those running lights is a huge tell. The train I'm in at this point, the deputy knows the driver's either about to comply or straight ahead. Guess which way this one's going.
the vehicle was off, running lights turn on, and I observed the wheel turn and the vehicle started accelerating.
Okay. While all this is happening, are you saying anything or doing anything? Okay. So the
This is where the legal gravity spikes. Striking an officer with a vehicle isn't just assault. Prosecutors often treat it as assault with a deadly weapon. And in Michigan, that can mean serious prison time, even if the injury isn't severe.
Pretty high rate of speed. At that point, I was able to look through the windshield and identify the driver's chalice. Tried to step out of the way. I observed him turning the wheel towards me as we were accelerating, and the vehicle made contact with my left knee.
Hit your left knee? Okay. After the vehicle made contact with your left knee, what happened to you?
I spun around and hit the ground.
You had identified in your testimony the driver is Chalice, who we've identified as the defendant in court today. Is this an individual that you had ever previously had any sort of contact with?
Yes.
Okay. Approximately how many times have you know?
At least 4 or 5. I had interaction with him maybe a week or 2 prior.
Okay. So the vehicle is driving towards you. You observe the defendant turn the wheel towards you and make contact with your left knee. You spin and hit the ground. What's the next thing that you remember seeing? Okay. So it continued basically in the direction that you had come in your vision. Okay. And what is Deputy Bouvet, if anything, doing at this moment?
At that moment, I'm not sure.
Okay. The vehicle takes off. What do you do next?
On that door, control tower on the radio. Just back.
You were hit by the vehicle, but you were still able to, still had enough mobility to get yourself into multiple vehicles at first. Yeah. Okay. Did you ultimately suffer any sort of injuries from being struck by the vehicle? No broken bones. Do you get back into the passenger side of your patrol vehicle? Okay. And what does Deputy do? Okay. And what happens next?
I'm just looking around and chase out the vehicle. Nothing wrong. Was entering the neighborhood, entering onto the little plane and observed the vehicle. Time to stop.
Did you observe that happening, or is this something you're learning over radio? Okay. And Your Honor, I would not be offering it for the truth of the matter asserted.
All over.
Do you and Deputy Bouvet then attempt to engage in a chase with this vehicle? Okay. At some point, do you encounter the vehicle again? And when and where did that happen?
Vehicle crashed out in the area of East Road and Deputy
Okay. So, how long time is that? From the time that you and Deputy Bouvet get in your car and take off to the time that you encounter Deputy Rob, the defendant in custody, how long is that time?
Approximately 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay. And while that 10 or 15 minutes is occurring, is it fair to say you are hearing things on the radio about this ongoing pursuit? What was the state of this Ford Explorer when you observed it in Van Buren Township? Okay.
Pretty substantially.
And you said that you observed the defendant on the scene there?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the condition of the defendant at that time?
Okay.
Was he in handcuffs? Was he sitting on the grass? Was he laying down?
10 minutes later, the chase ends not with a pit maneuver or a barricade, but with a crash. For the jury, or in this case, the judge, that image of the suspect in cuffs next to a wrecked vehicle is a powerful closing snapshot of the incident.
From either the gray Explorer to Deputy.
Okay. Hey, one moment here. Yes. I have no further questions, Judge.
All right, cross-examination.
Deputy Phillips, do you recall what time it was on April 15th when you encountered the gray Ford vehicle? Right, and that's in the morning. So you testified that you've been receiving some sort of radio reports on the status of that vehicle?
location.
So were you tracking it or was someone else tracking it giving you that information?
I believe the victim was given information to deputy.
So, the person who owned the vehicle was radioing or talking to Deputy Bove. How were they talking? By phone? Okay. All right. And could you overhear the conversation? No. So you were just getting information from Deputy Bove that was communicated to her from the owner. Okay. And then you were being told, okay, this is where they're singing. Okay. So at some point you make contact, or you see the Great Ford Explorer yourself. Is that right? Where is that? Okay. And you said that's a cul-de-sac. Is that correct? Now you see the vehicle. Is it moving or is it not? Or stationary anyway. And Deputy Bove is driving. Deputy Bove pulls the vehicle that you're in to within, what, 30 feet of the gray Ford Explorer? Okay, could give or take, not holding it to that. Using the distances here, and you're in the passenger seat of your vehicle, I'm going to step back and you can tell me where the front of that gray Ford Explorer is, and your vehicle stopped. Ready? About here. And you're face to face, is that right? More or less. Maybe not directly head on, but it's face to face. Now, as you testify, it's a cul-de-sac, is that correct? And as you pull up, when you pull up, are your lights on already? Okay. So, does your vehicle stop before you turn the lights on? So let me ask you this. When your vehicle comes to a complete stop, that vehicle is also stationary, is that right? Are people getting out of that vehicle before or after your vehicle comes to a stop? After your vehicle comes to a stop, people begin getting out of the vehicle, the Ford Explorer, correct? Okay. Now, the full time that passes from the time your vehicle stops to the time that Ford Explorer hits you to move on, to go away from where you are, it's about 13 seconds. Is that fair?
Sounds about right.
About 13 seconds. The time from the time you get out of the vehicle and stand in the roadway to the time the vehicle hits you, that's probably about 6 seconds tops, isn't it?
I don't.
You had a chance to see the vehicle video of the incident, right? Did you take the time to try to count out the seconds? Okay. Would 6 seconds be fair, or does that sound like an exaggeration? Okay. So from the time you get out, to the time that vehicle strikes you to move on, about 6 seconds pass. So when you got out of your vehicle, I'm going to be where you are. I'm going to be where the Ford Explorer is. You did not go around your vehicle and approach the passenger side of that vehicle, did you? What you did, you got out of your vehicle and you moved into the road. There's a reason. Also, you're concerned that the vehicle might try to leave, right? Because as you said, people were getting out of it. Right? One of the things when you did when you got out was you raised your hand. Is that right? Okay. And that was for a specific reason. Stop here. Don't recall that? Okay. So, you have a vehicle that you're concerned might be. You're in the roadway. Now, let's talk about the roadway. This is a cul-de-sac. Space between your vehicle and the space where the vehicle, the Ford Explorer, can get past you. How much space is that? Okay. When you got into that space, Was there any space where the vehicle could drive around you and past your vehicle without hitting your vehicle?
There may have been.
May have been, or there may not have been, right? Correct? Okay. All right, so 6 seconds that you get out of your vehicle, you get there, have your hand up. That vehicle then drives by and strikes you on its way out, right? Okay. Does Mr. McLaughlin say anything on the way out? Okay. Does he even roll his window down? Does he make any threats to kill you? Does he say verbally, I'm going to kill you? You testify that the vehicle accelerates towards you at that point. But then you are in the road rage, the area where they are, they would get away from the cul-de-sac. Is that right? So, in accelerating towards you, they are also accelerating towards the roadway to get past you. Is that right? Well, let's go back just a little bit. The information you had on the Great Ford Explorer was that it was stolen sometime in the day. Is that right? Okay. Was the owner able to pinpoint when that vehicle was stolen?
Surveillance.
Had you viewed the surveillance camera at the point before you had encountered the vehicle yourself?
Yes.
Okay. When did you review the surveillance camera?
At the start of my shift, when we were dispatched out there, probably 8:30 or so.
8:30 a.m.? Okay. And you said you had contact with the vehicle around 9 something?
Yes.
And I'm not trying to nail you to any times or anything like that. So in the surveillance vehicle, what time was the vehicle there? Would it have been before your shift started? Okay. Do you have any idea if it was that same day or the night before?
I believe it was in the early morning.
Okay, so it could have been, say, 2, 3 or something around there, right? It's a possibility that the vehicle would have been taken some hours before your shift. All right, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Did you did you have to make a certain
Yes, I don't think so.
All right, you may stay. Thank you, sir. Please come forward, be sworn.
Your first name? Thank you. And how can you spell that, Felder? Both. Thank you. Ma'am, how are you currently employed? How long have you worked for the sheriff's office? About 6 months. Okay. Were you working in that capacity back on April the 15th of this year, 2025? So you would have been only a few months on the job at that point. Okay. Were you assigned with a partner at that time? Who was that? Both of you were in a patrol vehicle together, and you were driving that vehicle. You were dispatched to the Marriott Hotel regarding a stolen vehicle. Tell me about what, if anything, you did when you arrived at the Marriott Hotel regarding that stolen vehicle.
Spoke with the vehicle, realized that her vehicle was taken sometime at night. She explained it as the vehicle Explorer.
Okay. And was there some line of communication kept between you and this vehicle owner about the potential location of it based on this app that's associated with this Ford vehicle? Okay. And is that in fact what happened? Based on the information you received from the vehicle owner, you and Deputy Phillips went to the West Willow neighborhood looking for this vehicle. Is that right? Okay. Describe for the court, and obviously we've already heard the testimony from Deputy Phillips, but describe for the court what you did as you vehicle when you first observed this gray Ford Explorer?
Before moving around the street, I advised that I was in the area, looking on side streets for the vehicle matching the description. I turned down with a Brooktree report. We observed the vehicle matching the description, 2024 Ford Explorer, parked on the street, and called out that we were out.
Okay. Did you activate any emergency equipment on your vehicle? Okay. What did he activate?
The overhead lights.
Okay. Did you exit your vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do when you exited the vehicle?
I.
Okay. What commands were you given?
So when we pulled up, I drew down our, and two things said hot dog. So I called them, looked into their hands, and
They were walking towards us. Thank you. The vehicle, are you walking kind of straight towards the vehicle at this point? Based on where it is parked and where you parked your patrol vehicle? Okay. And you still have your service weapon on?
Yes, I looked below.
At the low right. Okay, so you're not pointing it straight out, it's down kind of towards the ground. You're continuing to walk towards the vehicle and give verbal commands?
I stepped out, I gave verbal commands, and stopped walking as they were approaching.
Oh, okay. Is it fair to say at that point you were focused on the females? Okay. Did they walk towards you?
One got up from the passenger side and walked forward pretty close, and the one from the passenger seat.
Okay. After these two females exited the vehicle, could you see if there were any other occupants of this Ford Explorer? How many and where were they seated, if you remember? Okay. Were you able to get a visual of the individual who's in the driver's seat of this Ford Explorer? Okay. While this is happening, you're continuing to give commands to the individuals exiting the vehicle. Is that fair to say? Okay. What happens next?
The driver had thrown, the lights came on, and so we said exited, the driver had turned the lights on, and the vehicle started.
Okay. What, if anything, are you saying while that's happening? Okay. You observed the vehicle. What did you observe the vehicle do after it started to move? Okay. And what did you observe happen next? Okay. I imagine this happened pretty quickly. Is that fair to say? During the time that you see the lights go on, the vehicle starts moving and it makes contact with Deputy Phillips, do you have time to really do anything other than watch this happen? Okay. Do you attempt to use your radio in any way to ask for backup, help, anything like that? Okay. So you observe the vehicle with your partner, Deputy Phillips, then what did you observe the vehicle do after that? Okay. What did you do next?
He got out of the car and called out that he had just been hit by a car. And we attempted to drive around.
Okay, so then you are driving the vehicle and you're attempting to get involved in the chase of this Ford Explorer. Okay, and we heard from Deputy Phillips, but you eventually encounter the vehicle now involved in some sort of crash in Van Buren Township.
Yes.
And that was about 10, 15 minutes later. Okay. At that point, were you able to make any determinations regarding whether or not the vehicle ultimately found in Van Buren Township was the same vehicle that had been reported stolen from the Marriott that morning?
Yes.
Okay. And that was the same vehicle? Okay. And you yourself, Deputy, did have contact with the owner, Miss Wilhelm, of the Ford Explorer? Okay. To your knowledge, had she given anyone else any permission to use that vehicle? I have no further questions, Judge. Thank you.
Prosecution.
Deputy Beauvais, when you were driving your police vehicle, is that right? Okay. When you pulled up, you were facing the vehicle that had been reported stolen. Is that correct? And you weren't right up against the curb, were you? Okay. You were more towards the I don't want to say complete, but away from the curb, enough space. And this cul-de-sac this is a 2-lane sort of street. Okay. And when your partner went to the right of your vehicle, is that correct? And towards the front, is that correct? That's sort of out, sort of different. Do you recall if your partner had his hand up to stop the vehicle? Okay. And do you have a good estimation of the time period from the time he got out of the vehicle, walked into the road, and the vehicle struck him? Was that about 6 seconds? Not sure. Would 6 seconds seem like a crazy amount? That seemed untrue, inherent. So, when you spoke with the owner of the vehicle, you said that you told her if it moved in the app to let you know. So, did she show you the app initially? Was the vehicle still? But you did say if it moved. So there was a location established. There was a location established when she showed you that. Okay. And you don't have an idea whether it was stationary in that location, moving around that location. Do you recall initially where that location was? Yes. And when? Okay. All right. Do you know if there were keys? Okay, so I'm asking of your personal knowledge. Do you know if there were keys of your personal knowledge? No, in the vehicle. Yes. Not sure. Don't know. So you don't know if Mr. McLaughlin had keys or not, do you? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Deputy. I don't have any further questions.
Can you redirect?
No redirect, John.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Deb.
Mr. Brown and I approached the bench very.
You may. Okay, record should reflect we had a bench conference in this case. What I'm going to do is there's a scheduling an emergent issue with the other deputy that needs to testify in this case. We'll see if he frees himself up for activity he's involved in right now at some point. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this matter and we'll call it up later.
As soon as we related to bench, as soon as I have an update regarding the deputy's availability, I'll communicate with the court staff.
All right, very good. So it's called the case of People versus McLaughlin.
Andrew Childers is on behalf of the people.
We're ready. All right, although we were trying to avoid adjourning, my understanding is the circumstances that the officers involved in is a much more serious one.
Right, and in fact, another deputy just left because they require extra assistance. Just so the record's clear, that the deputy, Rob, who's involved in this case, is on the SWAT team. They are currently dispatched to some sort of barricaded weapons location. And that situation has not cleared, so.
Did our best. So preliminary examination in this matter will be continued 17th at noon. All right, thank you.
And just when you think this day in court is wrapping up, we get a real-world reminder that criminal justice doesn't happen in a vacuum. The same deputies in this hearing. Some are already being pulled into a live SWAT situation. Law enforcement lives on a razor-thin edge between courtroom testimony and active crisis.